Oh hey, welcome to my backyard. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dave from Chase the Summit and you're joining me today in my backyard. So we're here today to look at my home-built rock climbing wall, or woody as some people call them. I built this wall a couple of years ago and actually documented the entire process on my blog, the written blog at chasethesummit.com. So I'll link that down in the description. That really has every little bit of information that went into building this wall, including the materials you need, the holds I used, what kind of wood I used. All of that stuff is in that blog post, so definitely go check that out in the description down below. In this video, I just wanted to share a little bit of how this went together and what inspired me to do it. In today's day and age with quarantining and people distancing, I know that climbing gyms have been kind of having a hard time, so having one of these in your backyard is a pretty good option. I've noticed a ton of traffic coming to my blog posts lately about this wall, so I just wanted to make a little video to explain what went into it and why I did it, what inspired me to do it, all that stuff. It's awkward talking to the camera in my backyard. I can see my neighbors over there. All right, so what inspired me to do it? A couple years ago, I was really trying to get better at ice climbing specifically. I built this wall mainly for dry tooling to use my ice tools on. A lot of gyms have like dry ice tools with little loops on them to hook on the holds, but I wanted to be able to use my actual ice climbing tools on something, and they definitely don't allow that at the gym. That's mainly why I built this thing. And I used it pretty religiously for like a year. I've kind of fallen out of habit with that. I've been running a lot more and not climbing as much, but I do plan on using it again when the months start to get colder. I'm definitely gonna start getting back on this thing with my tools. And I have been monkeying around a little bit as a rock climber on the wall too lately. So take this with a grain of salt. I'm an awful climber. I'm like a 5'6", 5'7" climber. I can follow a 5'9" maybe, but I'm not very good. So this is purely about the wall. It's not about my climbing skills. So as far as materials go, the two main verticals out front here are 4x4 posts. I actually dug them 4 feet into the ground and put concrete around them. I had this fear in my head that I would get up to the top of the wall and all the leverage from being on the wall would make it tip over or something. So I wanted to make sure that it was securely in the ground. I also live in the USA in the Northeast where it gets really cold in the winters. We can get thunderstorms that have high winds and stuff. And this thing's a big sail, so I didn't want it to get blown away or anything, so it's built pretty ruggedly. I have a background in mechanical engineering, so I actually used a 3D modeling tool called SolidWorks to model this thing up full detail, like the planks and everything. I didn't put the screws in there, but all of the main components were modeled up in SolidWorks. But yeah, I designed this thing to be very rugged, very sturdy, and it is. It's definitely held up well. So it's been up for 2 years now. There's very little signs of wear and tear so far. It's been very durable. It's been through snow and thunderstorms and hurricanes and all kinds of stuff, still standing. Oh man, somebody's mowing the lawn. Good thing I'm wearing a lab today. So as far as materials go, I chose pressure treated pine for everything, including the plywood. I used marine grade plywood that they use on like sailboats and stuff. So the two main verticals in the front here are actually 16-foot long 4x4 posts, and I dug them into the ground 4 feet and put concrete in there to make sure they won't come out. Probably overkill, but it's not going anywhere. So the posts in the back are only 8 feet long, again dug into the ground and have concrete around them. So that's the main structure there, those 4 posts. I chose to paint the wood because I was afraid that my kids might get splinters. I've got 3 kids and they play on this sometimes. I wanted to make sure it would be safe for them, so I put a heavy coat of like a brown paint on there just to make sure there was no splinters or weird things that they could catch their fingers on. It also makes it blend into the woods a little bit better. I didn't want this thing being an eyesore in my backyard or have my neighbors questioning what I'm doing over here. At the top of the wall, I also put a beam across because I thought I'd be able to put my kids on a rope and maybe put them on belay and let them climb all the way to the top. We haven't done that yet. I don't see myself doing that, so it's probably overkill again, but it's a good option to have. So the structure behind the plywood is a 2x4. I chose to space them apart just like you would in a house, like 16 inches apart, like studs in a wall as like the main structure to support it. Up in the top in the corners, I used a carriage bolt going through the 4x4 post, through the 2x4, and through another 2x4 to really make it secure connection up there. Also threw an extra set of lag screws in there to make sure it was totally bomb proof. I didn't want this thing falling down on anybody, so it's very secure up to the top. The wall itself is 8 feet wide and 12 feet tall, and it's leaning back at a 22-degree angle. I wanted to have that overhang to make it a little harder harder on myself, and also to have a clean fall if I fell off the wall or my kids fell off. I didn't want to have anybody like grinding down the front of that thing and hurting themselves, so a clean fall is better onto a crash pad that I could put down below them. There are a couple of things I would change about this if I could do it over again. For instance, these posts out front can get in the way. If you're climbing near the edge and you fall off, you have a risk of hitting that post on your way down. So it would be nice to find a way to space those out a little bit further, maybe make that connection up top a little wider so it's kind of a big H shape. But the way it is, yeah, there's a little bit of a risk of running into those posts. I wish I could space them out a little bit more, so keep that in mind if you're doing this on your own. The other thing I wish I did was maybe having an adjustable angle to the wall. Like if I could pivot a little bit would probably be nice. My 7-year-old has a hard time getting up the angle. It's a little tough for him because you're fighting gravity, man. But I think having an adjustable wall might be a little bit too complicated. So I might actually just add a little section of a flat wall or maybe a leaning wall so it's easier for him to climb. Around the back side of the wall, I actually put a big tarp on the back just to protect it from the weather. I didn't want water getting in there or snow building up in there. So it's just a form of light protection. As far as the holds go, I found these online. It's called Colorado climbing gear. And what's interesting about these is they're actually made out of concrete and they're super cheap. That's kind of why I went this route. I think these are like 89 cents per hold. I'll put a link down in the description for Colorado climbing gear so you can go check those out. But really any hold will work. To connect the holds to the wall, I used a series of stainless steel T-nuts on the back side of the plywood. These are available in bags of like 50 or 100. To have some flexibility in the future, I put a hole every 10 inches in a grid across the entire wall, and they all have T-nuts in them. So I can actually move holds around as I please, just like a climbing gym would. I honestly never do it. They haven't moved yet, but I have the ability, so that's kind of nice. Another mistake I made with this wall was initially I used black oxide screws to connect the holds to the wall. Black oxide is not weather resistant, so they actually started to rust. So I actually took out all of the black oxide screws and replaced them with stainless steel. The stainless steel has been doing a lot better. They're actually still in great shape right now as we speak. And it's been 2 years in harsh New England weather. So yeah, definitely buy stainless steel. Don't buy zinc, don't buy black oxide. Stainless steel is what you want if you have an outdoor wall. The Colorado climbing gear holds came in like a variety pack. They have some pinches, they have some jugs. It's a little bit of everything. So it's kind of cool. You can kind of move things around as you please and really set up your own routes. I'm not a great route setter, but I gave it my best on this one. I've got a route on the left-hand side that's great for my kids. It's kind of like a ladder rung of jugs. And then on the right-hand side, I've got a little bit of a harder route that I kind of put together and I marked it off with tape just so you follow it. It's a lot of fun really trying to piece these things together. All in all, building this wall, that rhymed, cost me about 500 bucks. And honestly, I think that's a pretty good bargain for what you're getting here. In total, this took me about 2 days of commitment. Granted, I was hustling pretty hard. One thing that was super tricky was getting this top panel up here because it's about 10 feet in the air. And these panels weigh quite a bit. I'd say one panel weighs about 50 pounds and it's really awkward to hold by yourself. So what I did was I ended up rigging a rope up there and then I hoisted it up by myself. And while it was up there, I just tied it off to a tree over here and I got up on a ladder and I screwed it into place. So yeah, it might be a 2-man operation. I might suggest having 2 people for this if you're planning on doing this yourself. If you're considering building something like this in your backyard, I'd say go for it. Right now is a great time to do it with all of the COVID stuff going on. It's nice to have the option right in your backyard. It'll really give you the opportunity to climb a lot more and fine-tune your craft. Anyways, that's all I wanted to talk about today. I just wanted to share what it was like to build my rock climbing wall here and show you that blog post that I put together a couple of years ago. It's got a ton of details, so definitely go check that out in the description down below. If you've got any questions about building a rock climbing wall, definitely post them down in the comments down below and I'll make sure to respond to them. And just as a reminder, this Sunday, August 2nd, I'll be doing a live stream on the channel to celebrate hitting that 10,000 subscriber mark. I'm so pumped about it. Thank you so much for everyone who has subscribed to the channel. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.